Hi guys, so today is going to be a little bit different of a video because I'm in the sunlight instead of artificial light in my room because today I'm actually filming in a time where it's daylight, so that's pretty good. This is the second time filming this, so I might be a little less energetic, well actually third time filming this, so I might be a little less energetic than I originally was, but my camera shut down and the second one was just totally awful, so I'm redoing it, and today I'm going to be talking about obsessions and compulsions, more specifically my obsessions and compulsions. So I have OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and with OCD you have obsessions, which are thoughts, images, or impulses that occur over and over again in a person's mind and feel outside of their control. And compulsions are the second part of obsessive-compulsive disorder. These are repetitive behaviors or thoughts that a person uses with the intention of neutralizing, counteracting, or making their obsessions go away. And these definitions, by the way, are from the OCD and the International OCD Foundation's website. And the biggest issue with OCD is that it gets in the way of people's lives. So I want to make this video to show you guys how OCD affects people in their daily lives. So anyway, these are my obsessions and compulsions. The first obsessions I remember were about perfection. I would always have to have everything in my room in a certain place, and everything would have to be a certain way. Like I was always organizing my nightstand or my desk at school. I would have to organize that, make sure like the pencil was in the right place and the books and everything was organized and neat. And the only way I would know if something was the right way or not was if I got the just right feeling, which goes along with many people who have OCD. They'll be obsessed with like having everything be just right, and I get that feeling a lot with my OCD. So yeah, that's something that really affected me when I was younger, but I wasn't diagnosed with OCD at the time, so I didn't really know what it was. I just thought it was me. I just thought it was my personality. But yeah, that's basically how OCD affected me when I was younger. And then I also had a lot of symmetry obsessions where everything would have to be symmetrical. And like even if I stepped on an edge of a rug, if I stepped on it on one foot, I have to step on it with the other foot in the same place. So that's what bothered me when I was younger. And also the second obsessions I remember having when I was younger were obsessions about germs and illnesses. I was always afraid I would get an illness or get germs on me. I was afraid to go in public restrooms and like touch doorknobs and what else? I also wouldn't touch trash cans or go to doctor's offices very much. Well, I'd be very anxious going to the doctor's office. And I would never really wash my hands. Like sometimes I would wash my hands if I felt like I would get an illness or if I felt like I had germs, but most of the time it was just avoiding things, and that was my compulsion. The obsessions that really made me feel like something was wrong with me were my violent obsessions. If anybody out there gets intrusive thoughts, you know that you can't control them. They just come into your mind, and it's usually something that you don't want to happen. No, it's pretty much always something that you don't want to happen. That's why it makes you anxious. And so my first really intrusive thoughts that I got that I actually thought were purely obsessional, but actually ended up having compulsions, like avoiding them was the compulsion. So basically the first ones I got were violent thoughts, and it was really hard for me to deal with, and it would always be me hurting people or people hurting me, and that was just so hard that I became suicidal because of it, and I actually had to go into a mental hospital. And there was when I got diagnosed with OCD, and that was actually kind of a blessing because I finally knew like what was wrong with me, and it wasn't just like my mind making up these things. I wasn't going crazy, so that was a good thing to know. And yeah, so that's how I got diagnosed with OCD, because of these thoughts. And the compulsions for these thoughts were to avoid them or say stop over and over again, or also to do drastic things like wave my hands around or like yell stop or yell or scream. Or one time I poured water on my head because like I had to break up the thoughts. They were constant, always there, violence, 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 violence. It was horrible. I would also have some harm thoughts like that too. Actually, violent thoughts are harm thoughts, aren't they? Well, they're similar. They're all different. It's so confusing. OCD is confusing. But Yeah, so those were the first thoughts that really bothered me. Now I still get, well, I don't really get violent thoughts as much. I do get other harm thoughts. Yeah, I get like harm thoughts that aren't really like as violent, but they're still like harm thoughts. And, but they're mostly around when I'm cooking because I'm afraid of getting burned and getting cut. So being around knives makes me anxious, and, but I don't really avoid it anymore. Since I started doing exposure and response prevention therapy, I've learned that nothing will ever go away by avoiding the problem. You have to, like, stick up for yourself and, like, stay there and sit with the anxiety until it goes down on its own. So that's what I've been doing with that. Now those violent thoughts are pretty much gone, but now they've been replaced by sexual thoughts, and I first started getting these sexual obsessions when I was in the OCD program that I went to last year. And they started with thoughts about this therapist that was there, who I actually really liked the guy. He was a nice guy, and we worked together sometimes. He was really fun to work with. And then towards the end of my stay at the with the program, I started getting sexual obsessions about him, and they were very distressing. And also I would have violent thoughts too, but they were mostly sexual, and they were really hard to deal with. And yeah, I'm still dealing with those to this day, but they've kind of changed because when I left the program for the first time, they started happening because I wasn't seeing the therapist anymore. So who are they going to be about? Of course, they're going to be about my psychiatrist now, so that's fun. It makes psychiatry appointments very fun. And, like, my psychiatrist, as much as I say I hate him because he is the most annoying man, and I can't even talk about it, but he is actually a really nice guy. And I hate that I have these thoughts about him, and it kind of ruins him for me, basically, because every time I'm with him, I'm so anxious because I'm afraid I'm going to get more thoughts, or I'm afraid the thoughts are going to come true. And it's just really hard to deal with. And, like, the thing about sexual thoughts is that, like, people often say, like, oh, everyone has sexual thoughts, it's not a big deal. But, like, it's not the fact that they're sexual for me, it's the fact that it's usually about people raping me, or, like, doing, like, things that, like, I would just never do in my real life. Like, I'm a religious person. Like, I just hate having thoughts, like violent thoughts and sexual thoughts in my head, because it's just things that I would never do, and it's so disturbing. And it's really hard to talk about too, but I feel like it's necessary because I know so many other people deal with these thoughts, and I know that people benefit, at least I benefit from hearing other people talk about their thoughts. So I hope that you guys benefit from this if you have OCD or whatever. And yeah, so those are the thoughts I'm dealing with now for now, when it comes to, like, obsessive thoughts like that. And then the last thoughts I want to talk about are religious obsessions, which are basically obsessions that are around blasphemous things, or like concern with being right all the time. So basically, I'm afraid that, like, I'll offend God. And so everything I do, every choice I make, I have to make sure I'm making the right choice. But the only way to know if I'm making the right choice is if OCD tells me it's just right. So it really gets in the way of my life. Like, even it could be choosing which Bible to read, which towel to use, which cup to use, which sink to wash my hands in. It doesn't even matter what it is. It could be anything at all. If I have to choose it, then OCD is going to get in the way, and it's going to tell me I have to make the right choice or else I'll go to hell. And that's really disturbing to think about and talk about, and it's really hard to work on because I don't know sometimes if it's God or if it's OCD. Like, I'm a deeply religious person, and I believe that the Most High God can talk to people. Like, I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, she's crazy. But I'm a Christian. Well, I'm a Hebraic Christian. And I believe that the Bible is true. And everything in the Bible is true. Maybe not all of it is as literal as people think it is. But maybe it is. I don't know. But basically, I believe in the Bible. And it's really hard having obsessive thoughts about religion and about choosing right from wrong, because I want to choose right things, obviously, but when it becomes so OCD that it's taking over my life, like, I can't do that anymore. So basically, I actually started a few days ago. I've decided that I'm going to start working on these thoughts, but I haven't worked on them a lot since they started coming, because it's just so hard to think about. Another obsession I have that's a religious obsession is repeating things. And I know it sounds like it's not a religious obsession, but basically I repeat prayers, and I will repeat reading like things like Bible verses or even any books. And I repeat it because I'm afraid I'll go to hell if I don't say it right. So it's kind of perfection, but also kind of religious obsessions. So yeah, those are kind of complicated, but and those are really hard to resist because, like, they're just so repetitive, and things are constantly, like, coming up in my mind that I can repeat. Like, saying sorry, I do that a lot. Or, like, and it's just, like, really hard to deal with. But it's probably harder to deal with the things about making choices. But all of my religious obsessions are really hard to deal with. So yeah, those are all of my obsessions and compulsions pretty much. Those are the main ones that have affected me throughout my life. And I apologize for the last few parts of this video being kind of scattered. I've been trying to remember because my phone all of a sudden stopped working, Google Docs stopped working, so I don't know what I'm gonna... I hope I got everything. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something about OCD, and I hope you learned more about me, and I hope this video helps us get to know each other a little more. And comment down below if you have OCD, and if you would like me to make more videos about OCD, and if you found this interesting. I also like sharing stuff about my religion with you guys, because I feel like a lot of you are like, is she Muslim? Is she Sikh? What is she? What's her religion? Why does she wear the headscarf? Probably. That's what I'm guessing. Because most people will look at me and they're like, why is she wearing a headscarf? She's white. What is this? But no, I'm a Christian. I'm a Hebraic Christian. I believe in the Bible. And I'm very serious about my faith, and OCD picks on me for that. So that's what I wanted to get at with this last part of the video when I talked about the religious obsessions. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a blessed day, and shalom. I'll see you later. I just want you guys to know that the time I was filming this, music was right next to me. My kitty cat. Look at her. She's adorable. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Oh, okay. There we go. Look how cute she is. Aww. Adorable.